Thank you. Thank you so much. That was Anthem Blues. Listen, I've never had a music shop close its doors just for me, you know. This has been a surreal experience, you know what I mean? And if none of you turned up today, this would have been a real drag, you know. So thank you very much. I'll see you all later, okay? Have a good day. Yeah. But techniques, as far as techniques go, this is in D tuning, and the accent's really high, and I love on the electric, I love 10 to 52s, and these are the Dario, the XLs, I think. They're pretty good. One trick that I've got from touring that I'd like to share with you guys right now is sandpaper. This is 8,000 grit. If you can get a higher grit, that's fine, but 8's good and it works for me. I used to use elixir strings, and they last forever. They go on and on, but the tone does suffer a little bit from that. And when you're using high gain and you're in a band, you start fighting with the bass player over muddiness, you know. So these strings are good for me, but they do tarnish pretty quickly, you know. And you get a lot of this real weird grime stuff stuck to the underside of the strings. It's bad for your fretboard, it's bad for your frets. So what I do is I get the sandpaper, I put it under the string, not without touching the fretboard or anything, and you just kind of, and you'll feel all the grit coming off, you know, and when it's finished, you've got a brand new string, you know, and all the dirt goes on the sandpaper. So that'll make your strings last 10 times longer, and they won't break, they won't degrade. It's worked for me, and I haven't changed these in, you know, the shop won't, yeah. But it's a good trick that I learned, you know, over many years of having to change strings. You're like, oh, they're disgusting, and they're you know, the frets feel really scratchy, and they're horrible to play. This takes care of that. So if you take anything away, if you're a guitar player, start doing that stuff. It only works with the treble strings, the wound strings. You know, experiment. You know, go your own way with them. I don't. You know, they're pretty good. Slide guitar and electric's pretty good. I like to use brass because it's harsher. It gives you a harsher sound. You know, glass is pretty clean, but brass is very heavy, and it just gives you that. Let me demonstrate. If you're sliding up. The trick to slide guitar is to not stop moving, you know, so you're constantly moving your hand. But another way I taught myself with low gain stuff and stuff in small rooms, you can't really crank the amp as much as you want, so it doesn't sound the best. You can't get that feedback, that squeal, you know. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes if you shake it up and down, like this, like you see me doing there, you can make the amp squeal, you know, squeal a bit more than you would be able to. So. That thing, you know, and that's an impressive sound. That's controlled feedback, you know. And if you get it to go, you know, then you can slide back down, and it'll follow you slightly, go with you, you know. So. Obviously, you know, it's hit or miss, like I just demonstrated. But when it works, and it's a really good technique for lower volume stuff to just get that going, you know, and people are impressed by that. I don't know why, but it seems to be an impressive trick that I've learned along the way. The reason I brought my own guitars is because I play pretty heavy, you know, and these guys need to sell these guitars that are around here. I don't want to be damaging that stuff, you know what I mean? So, here, you hold that. There you go. Got it. Everybody keep an eye on him. I play with my eyes closed if he leaves, you know. Yeah. This one looks nice. I'll try not to break it. I'm not promising anything. Okay. I'll do my best not to break it. Yeah. I like using a lot of reverb on acoustic guitar. Not always, you know, not for every single song. Well, you won't hear it on every single song, but for the songs that I do use it on. These two pedals here, this is a Big Sky from Strymon, and a Marine Layer reverb from Fender. Now, one without the other is not good. you know. But then both together, you can create some really weird soundscapes, you know. I'm not going to be bending the neck on this guitar, but I'll just go over these kind of slightly. I'll do it on mine, don't worry. That's why I brought these. But you can, yeah. But the thing with reverb on acoustic guitar is you need to let the reverb work. You can't just be going, you know, it doesn't work, you know. So you got to just really subtly just let it ring out. That's the trick with reverb on acoustic guitar, that, you know, and it gets a bit overwashed if you start trying to play lead and stuff on it, you know. So save that for the electric, I guess. But I love acoustic blues. I haven't got nothing and you're taking that too. I can identify with that a lot, you know what I mean? And that's the blues right there. The thing that happened with me with blues at a very early age, you know, I didn't, you know, the estates that I grew up on didn't have guitar players. You know, they had criminality and drugs, and that was it. You know, alcoholism, prostitution, which I'm still recovering from. That never goes down well when there's nuns in your audience, you know. So don't do it. But I learned pretty quick to play just with myself by doing, you know, keeping that bass going, and that's. You know, so you can kind of add in bits. You can thump, and there's your bass drum, you know. So you got this whole band thing going. That works. The thing about it is you can come in and out of it, you know. You can go completely somewhere else and just. and I'll change guitars for this because I can feel the worry already. As soon as I go like this, people are like, don't do it. And I have people, calling me.
I'll just keep it myself.
Yeah, well, that's it. I'm sorry. Rookie mistake.
Technique question there.
Yeah.
The very quick.
Ask as many questions as you want. I'm here for that. So yeah,
So that very
please.
quick finger pick up through the strings.
Yeah.
Have you got any tips, techniques on getting that right? I mean, just practicing.
Show me what it is that you mean, and I'll try my best to explain it.
Well, so if you were going through, how you get that quick, that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know what you call that.
It happened to me by accident, but it did. Honestly, all the stuff you see there is just me making mistakes, and it works. And I go, oh, that sounded good, or I leave out the bits that didn't. John Martin had it. If you listen to a lot of John Martin stuff, he had that going as well, and it is real acoustic stuff. You can do it on electric, but it's not as effective as a big jumbo guitar. And it's just all upstrokes, but you're going down. You're just using all your fingers, and you're assigning your fingers to each string.
You're almost like you got prepared on the string before you.
Yeah. It looks really difficult, but it's really easy. But it just takes a lot of practice, and that's where people go wrong is, I can't do it right now, so I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go skiing or something else, and they never go back to it because it is so frustrating. And it's the only way I can describe it is if I turn this guitar around, I'm back at square one now. This feels really alien to me, and I have no idea. This would probably be an E minor, and it sounds like shit, or it doesn't sound good, because you're really. You're back to square one, so I can understand the frustration people get when they start playing an instrument of any kind. Guitar is pretty generic. It's everywhere. They're all over the place. This shop's a testament to that. But each and every one of these guitars is different, and they all have their own unique thing. And some of them will be better for you. Some of them will be better for me. Others won't be good. And this one here is great for me because it's stable, and it's chunky, and it's, whereas for you it might not work, and it's got bigger frets on it, and I can't stand those little tiny baby frets, As soon as if I get a guitar, I bring it to my tech and say, take those frets off and put on the biggest bass frets you can find, because I need that, John Martin there's a great technique John had with the Easy Blues, the song, and it has that flick, and it's really difficult to get that, and I struggled with that for years. And it's.
I see your hand's quite flat to the strings, actually.
Yeah. So you gotta get. I might as well play that. I'm getting into it. This was John had this on the Solid Air album. If you know John Martin, I don't know. He's a really, really good guitarist. He's dead now. I seen him back in 2004, and he had one leg, and it was over for him. Yeah, it was over. He was too far gone. But I was so young, I didn't really know what I was witnessing. But it was terrifying because he was so big and scary, and I was like 14 or 13 or something. And but he still had a lot of soul, he still had something to say, I think, and that's why he kept going. I don't want to be. This is a small room, you don't need a lot of volume here. Mr. Jelly Roll Baker, can I please be your slave? When Gabriel blows his horn, I'm gonna rise from my grave for you, sweet jelly roll. Pick the best jelly roll in town. You're the only man, big jelly, and you keep your temper down. holding out for 3 weeks ahead. Well, I'd rather have your jelly than my own baked bread. I'm just wild about your jelly. I go anywhere for your jelly roll. You're the only man, big jelly, and you keep it in your soul. You know, when it's that, it's just full force, you know, and basically you're just holding on and hoping that it works, you know what I mean? But that's an easy one to get out of as well, because you can, once you go back to the A, you can just take it right back down again, you know, and then just do the... If you got money in the bank, don't let your woman draw it out, 'cause she'll take all your money and then she'll kick you out. Now, young man, heed my advice. I'll tell you once and I'll tell you twice. Keep an eye on your woman anytime she goes stepping out. Mix in so well. So you've got the really extreme, fast, crazy stuff, and then the really nice kind of ragtimey, jazzy kind of thing, you know. And I love that. That's just all in A, you know. It's a beautiful chord to work around, you know. But that thing, that flick that you're doing, you should just grow your nails a bit more, you know, and you'll be able to grab that, because it's that, you know, you get that flick almost. Whereas if it's just your fingers, it's a bit more muted. You know, you get a bit more of it, you know. You know, and it's like, it's gruff, you know. The reverbs here are I mean, this is really over the top for any gig. You know, this is like studio stuff that you produce an album with this stuff yourself without having to add anything to it, and that's why I like using it. With the, I mean, it's a lot. You know, and I was always a purist. For years, I just wanted a guitar, a lead, and an amp. And I wanted the amp to do everything, you know. And over the years, I just realized the naivety of that was just beyond my comprehension, you know, because, you know, you go to other people's gigs and you're like, wow, that's a big sound that guy's got. And then you look down and there's like this spaceship of stuff and you're going, no! And it just gave me a bitter taste or something, you know. So it took me a long time to jump down the rabbit hole of guitar pedals. And don't be afraid to use pedals with acoustic guitar, you know. There's a whole palette of stuff here that you can use, and it really does make you a better player, you know. Without all this stuff, I'd be lost now. I really would, and there's pros and cons to that, you know. But keep it basic. You don't need a lot for acoustic guitar. The guitar and the pickup itself does most of the work. This is just to complement the music, and I like using these two. And it took me, I used a lot of different things, but these two are my main acoustic stuff, you know. And I would usually keep these for, you know, the effects loop. You know, I wouldn't usually just plug straight in. But I use like a Marshall AS50D, which is similar sound, really. I think they all just kind of sound the same, really. At the end of the day, it's whatever pickup you're using, and it's all in your hands, you know, to be honest. But I wrote a song called Mercy. I lived up in a friend of mine's attic for a while, when I had nowhere else to go. He didn't know I was living up there. So when he went to work, I would sneak down and rearrange his furniture and stuff. And it was really subtle stuff, you know, and the guy thought he was losing his mind. When he finally found me up there, it was okay, it was funny. But this reverb stuff works well with bending necks and harmonics, you know. You know, that stuff. But you got to be really careful, because, you know, you'll snap the neck if you go overboard. This is no whammy bar situation here, you know, there's no thing. This is like proper, you got to control this. But at higher volumes, it really fills a room, you know, and people go, wow, that's crazy, you know. I'm giving you all my tricks here. You know, take these with a pinch of salt. None of this is legally binding, okay? But for stuff like this, you need really thick strings. I like to use 13 gauge on these, but I like a low action and really big frets, and the neck is straight as an arrow. There's no bow in it whatsoever. So string buzz can be an issue if you really want to blast out a song. You know, you got to try and control that. But this song Mercy is a really good example for all this reverb stuff. And I must refuse your mercy. Will confine in isolation. I don't seek it, babe. And I don't need it. And I must refuse your mercy. Will confine in isolation. I don't seek it now. and I don't need it. For stuff like that, it's great. No, thank you. No. So for songs that have a lot of space, without it, and this is the way I used to play it, was just, oh, well, that's not right. Yeah. And it still sounds good, and it rings out. The guitar's got great sustain, but there's nothing else, and it sounds fine. But with it, it just has this, all this stuff. Yeah. And one without the other is okay, it goes on, and it's good, but with them both, you got this, you know what I mean, yeah, and it's subtle, because both of them are on at the same time. It's a massive sound, but it's just, they're both very subtly on, so you can go really overboard and people will start leaving, and I've seen it done with people, and they're like, this is crazy, I don't want to listen to this. I'll just put a Pink Floyd album on at home, I've got it all there, that's easy enough for me. But it works for me. It's good. Don't be scared of pedals, get yourself some, so you can get them on for like $14.99 on Amazon, all this stuff. I'm serious. Yeah, don't do that, you know what I mean though. But I mean they're not going to last you forever when you buy them from China, from Amazon, but get them to start with. Don't go and buy £600 worth of stuff that you don't know how to use and go, why is this not working and why don't I sound like Don Martin? Do you know what I mean? Don't do that. Get something really cheap and you'll find stuff here, I'm sure, that you can use, and go home with it and just experiment with it and find out what works for you, and then invest in some really good gear and go to these guys and get it. These guys will help you out. I'm sure they'll let you use whatever they have here before you buy it as well, So do that. Or not. Do whatever you want. Only I care. Now, the thing with having two reverbs is as well, you can pick a song. I don't know why I put a cabo on that actually. This is a different meeting. So you can have the reverb on, for halfway through the song, and when you switch in, because I like to mix songs into each other, so when the other part of the song comes on, you can add in another layer, and it sounds completely different. That's what I love about experimenting with this stuff. This is two songs I wrote a couple of years ago, and one of them's called "The Rain Came." It's probably my most requested song. I did a lot of online gigs through the lockdowns, and people were always like, play the rain came, and I was like, I'm sick of this song. I wish I'd never wrote this bloody song now, because everybody just wants to hear the rain came. I guess it's my May You Never, like the John Martin song he just got so, or like Brown Eyed Girl from Van Morrison. This is my Brown Eyed Girl, goddamn thing till the rain came pouring down again. Yeah, the rain came, burned me like a flame. Yeah, the rain came, washed it all away. Yeah, the rain came. these streets 20-odd years. This goddamn insomnia, how the hell did I get here? Then the rain came pouring down again. Then the rain came, burned me like a flame. Then the rain came, washed it all away. Then the rain picking up the weight, old freight trains. I got no one left to shout at, no one left to blame. Till the rain came pouring down again. The rain came, burned me like a flame. Till the rain came, washed it all away. Till the rain So you can see the difference between hitting one on, turning one off, hitting the other one on between different parts, and then you can get it really to wash over everything, you know. And but it works for me. It might not work for you, but definitely, you know, buy some stuff and try it out because it's great fun. If nothing else, it's great fun. I would encourage everyone to pick up an instrument of some kind because for me it's therapy. And you know, it saved my life from a lot of bloody crazy stuff, you know what I mean? Because I did lock myself in a room away from the criminality and away from the streets that I grew up in, and I just listened to Rory Gallagher and I played guitar, and that's all I did. That's my education right there, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be guitar. It could be a harmonica, or it could be a banjo. It could be anything, piano, but do something, you know, because it's good for your soul. You got to do that, you know. It's really, really good for you. I haven't played this telly yet, but I bring, you know, this is my Sophie's Choice guitar. If it came to, you know, pick a guitar, only one out of the 30 million that you own, this is the one I would pick, you know, out of all of them. This is my baby right here. So let's get this.
What volume dynamics on that? Like sort of, yeah. Especially with like the right hand as well. The sort of,
yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, you can play it as nice or aggressive as you want to, you know, and it depends on the room and it depends on how you're feeling at the time. Obviously, I'm under a lot of pressure right now, so it is what it is, you know what I mean? It'll probably be the same tonight at the gig. Is there anybody coming to the gig?
Where is it here?
Yeah, it's just at the Arts Centre, yeah. I'm glad you aren't coming. Don't come. It's full. Yeah, please. Yeah.
What the markings are on it. Personal.
Oh yeah, every mark on that guitar is personal, and I've had some of the dings have been filled in over the years.
It's like signatures. Oh no. Right, okay.
You can see the darker bits, or the bits that have been filled in.
And that's all you're playing?
Yeah, most of it, apart from the bottom half of this bit. The first time the guy put the bigger frets on, he put these two see-through covers over the guitar, and I took them off, and when I took off this one, this bottom part came off with it. So I was kind of like, oh, shit, you know. But yeah, it's about a $4,000 guitar, $3,500 guitar. Yeah, it's an Avalon. Yeah. I didn't pay for it. A friend of mine gave it to me who doesn't play. He bought it. It sat in a case for like 8 years and nobody went near it, you know, and he phoned me up one day and said, Dom, this Avalon's still sitting here, nobody's touched it, it's got the same strings on it, one missing from one I broke when I was like 15 or something. And he said, Dom, it's there, nobody's using it, if you want it, give me your address and I'll send it up, and he did. So I'm indebted to that guy. If I ever make any money, I'll send him the money that he paid for it. I haven't quite got there yet, you know.
Are they still making them in Ireland?
I don't know, maybe, yeah, I think they still do, yeah, but
some production out to the...
Yeah, it's very small batch. It's a very small company, but they took over the old Loudon factory, so it's basically just a Loudon with an Avalon stamp on it, you know, which is kind of sad because, you know, I don't know the story behind that, the Loudon and the Avalon fight, but there's always a divide in Ireland, no matter what it is. It could be biscuits or crisps, but there's always going to be one side against the other, no matter what happens. That's just Northern Ireland politics for you, you know, something that I want nothing to do with. It's nothing to do with me. I'm staying well away from it. There's a guy called Roy Buchanan. He died in a jail cell in 1988, and he played a telly, just like this one, same color and everything, and he started playing pedal steel as a kid, and this is going back to like the late 40s and early 50s, you know. And he started playing this pedal steel with a teacher called Miss Pressure, and he was a barber by trade. His dad was a barber, and one day this guy was walking down the street with his Telecaster, and he ran out after him, and he bought it off him, and that became his signature telly. And Roy came up with most of the techniques you'll see used by the likes of Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards. He influenced all these guys, and he was doing these things in the 50s when Fender's, the first Telecasters, come out, you know. He was doing all this stuff, and I'll show you some of the techniques that I'm nowhere near, you know. He invented these things. Like I can't touch them, they're, you know, but I can get quite near, and I'll show you some of the techniques that I've figured out he was doing over the years that if I can find out, yeah, probably. plugged into the wrong one. You can see I color coordinated all this for a reason, but it doesn't work because I forget where everything goes, you know. The thing with a Telecaster is it's hard to get a good tone from a Telecaster. These things are harsh, you know. These things are ice picky, they're trebly. You need to really work. This is not a plug and play guitar, and that's why I love it. You need to really work to get the best tone out of these things, you know. And I mean, in a mix, yeah, you'd use the bridge pickup because you're going to cut through the bass, you're going to cut through the drums. But if you're on your own, don't go near that thing. Don't do it to people. People will not like you. I can make a 2-hour gig feel like a 6-hour gig pretty quickly with this treble pickup on, right? So what I got from Roy pretty quickly was these little picks. I use 2 types of picks. I use these little blue ones. Sometimes they're green, which is bigger than the little red ones that I use, which are these ones. Get yourself some of these, okay? These are like, yeah, the little Jazz 3 picks, yeah, exactly. You'll see a lot of people use them, but the first person that I ever seen use them was Roy Buchanan, and there's just a lot of precision in them, you know. So Roy would use the pick on his finger and his thumb, and then he would free up his fingers to do this kind of, you know, and it was really quick. Yeah, like the hybrid thing. Yeah, see, you guys know this. You don't need me to tell you any of this stuff, man. Why am I wasting your time? And the thing that works with high gain was, you know, Roy would have his amp turned up to 10, and he would use his volume control to control the overall volume, and he would do these things called swells, and it's, you know, and then you get this lovely. Let's see if I can get a bit more out of this. And it works really well with all the reverb on, you know, when you hit a harmonic, and then you get this crazy wash of sound, you know, which I'll show you later maybe. But he would do this hammer on, hammer off thing, you know. You know, so you don't. If it's high gain, you don't really need to hit anything. It's gonna make the noise. But he would do it up the whole way up to here. And just because the fretboard ends here doesn't mean that the fretboard ends here, you know. You've still got a lot of string to work with, right? So this is going to get noisy and you're not going to like it. But in a band mix, this is fucking awesome. You know that thing? If you do it, I'll do it on the treble pickups. You know, all that kind of crazy, it's loud, but in a mix it sounds amazing, you know. And he would also do it on the high E, like. You know, that to me was like, when I seen him play that, I found him by complete accident. It was like a YouTube playlist that was just on in the background while I was changing strings one day, and Roy just came on, and it was live Austin City Limits, you know, that stage, and he played Roy's Blues and he did all these things, and I was like, what is this? Who is this guy? I've never heard of this guy, Roy Buchanan, and he looks like he's just waiting on a bus, you know. There's no movement in his playing, there's no bravado, there's no ego. He just invented all these things, and everybody ripped him off. I mean, everybody. And nobody gave him like, oh, I got that from Roy Buchanan, or I got this from Roy Buchanan. Nobody had ever heard of this guy. So I felt really privileged to have just stumbled upon him and all these crazy techniques and stuff that he used. It was like witnessing a murder, but you kind of felt okay about it. You know, that type of thing, which is hard to explain, I know. But equally as beautiful, Roy was just a complete one-off, master of the Telecaster, and a real just one-of-a-kind player. So if you get a chance, look him up, Roy Buchanan. Get in touch with that guy, you know. And he died in a jail cell in 1988 under really suspicious circumstances. And I think the police killed him because he was always getting in trouble with the police, and he was always getting beat up. And I think one night they just took it too far, And they were like, oh no, well, we got to make this look like an accident type thing. But who knows? I could be wrong, but that's just one guy's opinion, you know. I'm not jumping down that rabbit hole anytime soon, let me tell you. Life's too short, you know. Anybody, any questions or anything? Nothing? Nothing? No questions? Nothing at all? What about you? You're the owner of this shop, right? You two guys run this shop? You're all invested, yeah? Yeah. So, I mean, what's next for you guys? What are you going to do? Are you going to do more of these artist introduction things? Yeah, yeah. And oh right, am I like setting the bar? Oh no, right. Oh well, that's just great, isn't it? I better play something good then.
I think the main thing is the message of personality, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about good or bad, it's about what suits you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, what I was saying earlier about getting an instrument and playing it, this is not a competition. You know what I mean? This is like a prescription. You know, people are always like, oh, I'm never going to be able to play like that. It's not about that, man. You know, it's about your own feeling. And if you're sitting here where I am, it's about you trying to make you feel something. You know, it's about me trying to make you feel a feeling. It could be a bad feeling, but if I'm making you feel something, my job's done.
What's really great about you playing actually
Yeah.
is the narrative. Like,
Oh, right, thank you.
the story, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it has to mean something. Otherwise, I'm just another guy just sitting here playing a couple of chords. You know, where's the feeling in that? You know, I've seen that before. Like, you know, but I'm just really lucky because I've done this my entire life. You know, and I have the best job in the world because of you guys. You guys have allowed me to do that because you're the guys that are coming to gigs. You're buying the tickets. You're buying the merch. You know, not you personally, but I mean, as a generalization, without you guys doing stuff like this, there is no me. It's not about the musicians anymore. It's about the people that want to hear the music. And if the people don't want to hear the music, then there is no music. So I thank you for keeping the music alive, you know, because without you guys, there is none of it at all. And I say that at every gig I do because it's important. You know, the too many, you know, the snobbery of musicians has to go. You know, all this, I'm this and I'm that, and I'm not going to look at the audience and I'm just going to walk off and not talk to anybody. What is that about? Like, and I've seen that happen so many times, and it's like, who is that guy? You know, why is there this mysterious, like, you know, thing, like this coat of armor around these guys that nobody's allowed to touch or see? You know, and it's like, just the thing I got from this, and I learned this pretty quickly, is if you're on a stage, just tell the truth. You know. And it could make you out to be the worst person in the world, but everybody's got a past and everybody's done stuff they're not proud of, you know what I mean? And if you're up there and you just bare your soul to people, people see that you're genuine and they know there's no bullshit here, you know. There's no, I'm not trying to hide myself from you guys. I'm not the best speaker. I got really bad anxiety at the best of times, but I am willing to sit here and tell you about this, you know what I mean? That's the difference. I'm not scared of you guys. And you will not break me. You will not break me.
So, can I quickly ask about tonight?
Yeah.
What time is the gig, and is it you playing solo?
It's just me, yeah. The gig, I think the doors open at about 7 or half 7, and the gig will start at 8, and it'll go on for, you know, 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, or until they decide to kick me out. It depends how good it goes or how bad it goes, you know, because not every gig is as good as, you're only as good as your last gig. And, you know, if you take anything away, that's it. You got to be on your game every time. Even if I'm not feeling well, I still have to go and perform as best that I can because the people have paid for the tickets, you know. And you can't be letting people down because you are only as good as your last gig, you know. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. As far as guitars go, if you're going to go and buy a guitar, buy a small-bodied guitar, you know, something like this. If it's your first one. Get the smaller the better, actually, you know, something like this. I'm looking for something like this now because see these big jumbo guitars and they're nice and everything and they sound good in the studio, but see when you're up here, you know, playing 2 hours a night, your arm's way over here, you know. You can't stand up with these things because you look like a midget, you know, you're behind this big chunk of wood and I don't know if midget's the right word, it's probably not, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's a personal thing, the way I felt, I'm not trying to. But get yourself a small-bodied guitar, you know, that has a good pickup in it, because it's all you need. If you plug it in, it doesn't matter what sound's coming out of the guitar. It's the pickup that's making the noise, you know. So that'd be my advice. I got this for free. I'm not complaining, you know. I really am not complaining. I love it, and it's great. As far as when you buy a guitar, even probably, well, this shop, I think you guys set up the guitars here yourself, which is great to see, because you don't get that in every shop. If you're going to buy a guitar, this is the place to come to, because these guys here put a level of care into it that I've never seen before. And there's 3 or 4 music shops in Belfast where I come from. 3 of them are guys that really, they should be working in Starbucks or something, because they're selling guitars like they're selling coffee. They couldn't care less, you know. They're like, here, just, you know, leave me alone. And you're like, what kind of strings have you got? And they're like, strings? I don't know. They're here. This says strings on them, you know. And they're the most unhelpful people I've ever met in my life. And I don't shop there anymore. And there's one shop called Baird's Music, and it's on York Street in Belfast. And them boys are a bit like this shop here. They go above and beyond what a music shop should be doing to satisfy a customer, you know. And it's just so good to see. Like upstairs, I was bringing my coat upstairs, and there's like a little workshop where these guys are up there making these guitars in perfect player condition. I love to see that, because you just don't see it anymore, you know. And I do a lot of work myself as well, so I can identify with how tough it is to run this business. It must be a nightmare. So anything you guys can do to help these guys out and keep them going, that's a massive thing. And I thank you for that as well. I'm going to leave you now. Be here all day. I love this, I do. That's never happened before. That's it, just for the really dry signal. And that's just the amp, and I think that actually sounds pretty good, you know what I mean? Some of them don't have that. There's a real, you can feel the wood of the guitar coming through the, you know, there's a lovely warm kind of balance there, you know, that not a lot of these would have, so I like that. It's really nice. I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that e'er I done, at last it was to none but me, and all I done call. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. To all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away. And to all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it fell into my lot that I must go and you must not, I'll gently write and softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate you coming out. Thank you. Thank you. Has anybody got any questions at all before I go? Anything? Nothing?
How much are tickets for tonight?
$6.50, or there's like 3 tiers, all right? There's like
The Arts Centre allow you to choose because
Yeah.
their attitude is if you don't have much money, you can still come and see music, which is a lovely way. So it's a sort
Yeah.
of trust. You know, if you have a few more
Yeah.
to pay,
You can cut in the door.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
650,
Yeah. Yeah, so you all better pay £15 or I'm not talking to you anymore. Yeah, yeah, yeah.